Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, and we just wrapped up recapping the series of the Boston Red Sox versus Oakland Athletics. And during that series that the Red Sox won, we saw Alex Cora become the fourth all-time leader in Red Sox history for wins as a manager, and it, in my opinion, would be a no-brainer move for the Red Sox to bring back Alex Cora. But the common belief from a lot of experts right now is that Alex Cora will not be back with the Red Sox next season. Now, it's interesting to break this down because it does... there are two sides to this coin, where it is whether or not the Red Sox want to spend the money to bring him back, and it's also whether Alex Cora himself actually wants to return to the organization where, yes, he has had a lot of success since becoming the team's manager, but at the same time, there's definitely been instances of friction between Cora and the management. Didn't seem like he ever got along great with Chaim Bloom with this new takeover of, the future of the organization and their new management group. It hasn't seemed like Cora has necessarily clicked with them either. And I fully believe in Cora as a manager. I talked about this the other week between the series of the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Red Sox ended up coming out on top. I would say that, the Yankees, and obviously different roster constructions, but the Yankees have, the two stars in Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and, just kind of a bunch of others. And these players, granted, some of them may be a little bit on the older side when you're looking at and by older, I more so mean, past their prime. I mean, DJ LeMahieu is definitely in the older category, but Gleyber Torres, also somebody that they've kind of been waiting on and hasn't necessarily fully emerged, for whatever Anthony Rizzo is at this point, currently dealing with injuries. That's part of that conversation. But I reference that just to say that, you look at what Alex Cora is able to do with the others, even kind of the guys that, not even the top up-and-coming prospects, but what he's turned Dom Smith into as of late. Last year, I think a Red Sox fan favorite was Pablo Reyes, who was DFA'd by the A's, who were horrendous during the 2023 season, and they made him into a legitimate, middle-of-the-lineup guy. And Cora has done, I would say, ultimately, you look at the overall success of the Red Sox, it's really only the 2018 season that was exceedingly winning. Now, 2021, they also made their run to the ALCS that was slightly unexpected, you can make the argument. So it's not like there's been, a ton of success with Boston, but I would say that is more so due to the fact that the front office hasn't necessarily, we know that it's been a massive conflict within Boston in terms of the spending of John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group over the past few years. And ultimately, I think that Cora has done just about as much as he can with the talent that he's been dealt. And now it seems like the Red Sox, who are sitting at 10 games over 500 when that was never the expectation coming into this year, you have to feel very good about where they are currently at. And yet it does seem like we are headed towards a split between Cora and the Red Sox. He is becoming a free agent after this season, and somebody is going to go out and pay him. Now, it's going to be interesting because, Cora is going to look at what Craig Counsell got last offseason from the Cubs after, a pretty successful tenure with the Milwaukee Brewers, of course, but hadn't necessarily had elite success, you could say. You look at sort of the resume for Counsell when he was with Milwaukee. Ultimately, he was the winningest manager in Brewers history at 707 wins during his tenure from 2015 to 2023. So he deserves a ton of credit, and I'm not saying that he isn't a good manager, but it was a lot of regular season success. Now, it was an NLCS appearance in 2018, and they ultimately dropped that to the Dodgers. Cora, at the same time, though, was winning that 2018 World Series with a dominant Red Sox team. Outside of that, I mean, Counsell has been top 4 in NL in the National League Manager of the Year voting 3 times in 2017, 18, and 21, but ultimately not really much playoff success to stand behind. Cora also, and I know obviously it's a little bit murky with some of the exact dealings of that Astros championship in 2017, but was a bench coach for that Astros team and was, very well respected in his role there, and then went on to immediately have success with a very talented Red Sox team. And, all this to be said, we saw Counsell last offseason get the 4-year, $40 million deal that made him the highest paid manager in MLB history in terms of average annual value and total money. That Cora's going to look at that and he's going to want his. Now, I don't think that he's going to be getting $8 million a year, but he's definitely going to get a substantial payday from somebody. Now, you look around at the teams that could possibly go out and hire him. I think the number one team that clearly does not care about spending big, and there is a connection there, is the Los Angeles Dodgers, who Cora played for when he was a player in the MLB all those years ago. So that's something that I'm sure he would probably want to have a little bit of a coming home situation. And I think that he just wants respect, and the Red Sox have not done a good job of, putting together doing a good job of actually giving him the respect that he's due. And, I think that Cora is an extremely talented manager that has a very bright future, as he's only actually taken on a lead manager role since 2018, but he is going to be a name that is floated around there. Another name possibility, or another team I should say, is the Philadelphia Phillies, an organization that has sort of been knocking on the door for the past handful of years. I don't think they're going to be in any rush to make some sort of a massive move, especially with the way that they have been cruising through this season so far. Just demolished the Dodgers the past few days, but something to at least consider if they come short in the playoffs again. I'm not saying that's the right decision necessarily, but something to consider there. I think Red Sox fans' worst nightmare would be him going to the Yankees, depending on what happens with Aaron Boone there. But all of it sort of comes back to, I feel like if the Red Sox were willing to give him a respectable contract, I think he's somewhere in the $3 million range right now, that if they give him the money that he deserves, maybe he would be willing to stick around. I'm not sure. I do think that whatever happens during this season's trade deadline is going to actually have some sort of an impact on Cora in terms of whether or not he believes that this is a front office that is actually going to be willing to spend in the years come, willing to put together the proper roster around him to have success. So it's a weird limbo that we're at right now with the Red Sox. And again, we just talked about it in the last segment, but the way that they are sitting here right now with a chance to be second in the American League East headed into the All-Star break, depending on how this weekend shakes out. If the Orioles have success and beat up on the Yankees a little bit, and the Red Sox end up winning their series against the Royals, it is very possible that they could be second in the division, which every single Red Sox fan would take given the expectations coming into this year. And again, I do think that that is somewhat of a testament to Alex Cora and the way that he has been able to sort of bring this group up over the course of, the past couple of years with this younger core. And I think it would be a mistake for the Red Sox to let him walk, but I wouldn't say that this Red Sox organization hasn't been prone to making mistakes every once in a while throughout the past couple years. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section about, the situation at hand for the Red Sox and this debate, where you think what other teams you think could be, in the market for a new manager that, have some money to spend, because Cora is probably going to be, the number one managing commodity this offseason, I would have to guess. But we're going to be taking our final break now, and when we come back on the other side, I have some unresolved NBA questions from the first month of free agency, or the first month of the offseason, I should say, with some questions about prominent contenders such as the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, even you can throw the New Orleans Pelicans in there. So we're going to be diving into all of that, but first, a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.